Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the fridge. On the menu tonight, World of Tanks. Today's gameplay is from me, driving my Lowe in this tier 6 battle on Winterberg. So let's take a look and see how the old girl stacks up against some other tanks. All the numbers I quote in any of my overview videos are for fully upgraded tanks with 100% cruise and no perks. Let's start with firepower. The Lowe is armed with a 10.5cm KWK L70 cannon. This is a nice 105mm cannon with a good 234mm of penetration with AP, which puts it only 14mm behind the premium T34 tank. Alpha damage is a fairly low 320 hit points, and combined with a reload time of 11.51 seconds gives you a poor DPM of less than 1700. Equal to that of the T34 heavy tank. Aim time and accuracy is good, although not class leading. An aim time of 2.74 puts it behind the Tiger II with 2.4, but well ahead of the Russian tanks by over half a second. Dispersion is a handy 0.32, which puts it behind the Tiger II again at 0.3, and ahead of the Russian, American and British heavy tanks. Turret traverse is kinda slow at 23.99 degrees per second, behind even the T32, although it's not as bad as the 18.77 on the T34. Depression and elevation are an impressive 10 degrees down and a massive 38 degrees up. When it comes to survivability, the Lowe has a solid advantage, on paper. In reality, this is not the case. 1,650 hit points are protected by 150mm of frontal hull armour, with a good 100mm on the sides and 80mm on the rear. The turret has 120mm on the front, with 80mm on the sides and rear. What the numbers don't tell you is that the Lowe is a big tank. She's got poor armour sloping, and while that 150mm on the front is very thick and fairly well sloped, the lower plate is thin, upright and large. The upper plate will bounce things, but that 120mm of lower plate doesn't really keep a lot out, so you need to keep it covered. The turret is almost the exact opposite, however. With a very thin sounding 120mm, it is however covered by a strong 150mm gun shield. The shape of the gun shield is great and has no problems bouncing tier 10 guns or chewing up heat rounds. The turret cheeks are kinda weak, so some wiggling is needed when fighting against competent opponents. When it comes to mobility, well, the Lowe got the nickname of the Slow for a reason. 35 km an hour forwards and 15 in reverse is good enough, although with only 11.11 horsepower per tonne, acceleration and hill climbing it's crap. There really isn't any other way to put it. With 90 tonne and 150mm of frontal armour, ramming is something you can do in this tank. If you ever manage to find a hapless medium at the bottom of a hill, that is. A hull traverse speed of 25.03 is exactly the same as the Carnarvon, and just behind the T32, so it's not too bad. As for concealment, just don't. This thing is the size of a house. Even finding a bush to hide this thing behind is a problem, and its camo value isn't good. When it comes to view range though, we're on a winner. 400 meters. That puts it up there with the best of the heavy tanks in its tier. Now for my personal thoughts on the tank. This is my most played tank, although I did use this tank to lure my girlfriend into playing tanks with me, so not all of the 2,200 games played on it are mine. To get the best out of the Lowe, you need to keep the gun working. It has crap DPM, but that's made up for by having good soft stats on the gun. She snapshots well and has APCR as a premium shell. When you're lucky enough to be top tier, as I have been in this game here, you can actually use your armour, although it's still weak, so don't get overconfident. With the gun being so good, you can perform well against even tier 10s, and with the turret being shaped the way that it is, you can bounce even the Fiat Jägeroo. People tend to compare this tank directly with the Tiger II, and I don't think that's fair on the Lowe. While they have very similar guns and both can snipe quite well, they're not the same tank. The Lowe plays more like the T-32. A solid turret with good depression, you could play it hull down. Personally, I consider this tank to be a good buy. Although, if you want a Tier 8 German heavy tank, you don't really have any other options. Just a reminder that the WarGaming Advent calendar event starts today, so head over to the website and open up your daily special. These only last for 24 hours, so be quick so that you don't miss out on the bargain that you've been waiting for. Link to the webpage is in the video description. Thank you again for joining me in the fridge, and please share me with your friends and poke those like and subscribe buttons.